So I have a couple of questions for you based on tonight's amazing talk.
Thank you.
So one of the things that really caught my attention was when you said that our systems, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but when our systems are so beyond reform,
Yes.
that we need to almost leapfrog from where we are today to something better.
Yes.
How can how are you gonna do that?
Like how? Revolution is something I'm really committed to, and I try to talk about and get a lot of people to be thinking in relationship to. It's like, to me, it's fine to be involved in activities of reform as long as you understand that they are not the outcome, right? So a slightly improved system is not actually a liberation for most of us, because the current systems are set up to such an extreme level of inequality. So I always tell people, I'm like, it's great to be taking steps to have more equal rights. It's great to be moving towards more equity, but it's not necessarily, it's like, if you have an entire society that is based in white supremacy, an entire society that is based in competition rather than cooperation, then it's always going to be like a marginal piece to be bringing in the identities of all the actual people who were there. So a lot of the work that I do is about revolution, but I also really believe in building the new in the shell of the old, that model. So I'm a really big, like I tell people, wherever you're sitting is a revolutionary space. It's a revolutionary front line. So if you're a banker, what can you do to subvert the system? What can you do to make it more fair? Like, what can you do to create more access, no matter where you sit? And I think that's probably the thing I'm always working against, is people being like, oh, organizers make change and everyone else just is complicit in keeping the system moving. And I'm like, actually, the greatest changes in the world have happened because people who thought of themselves as ordinary people were willing to foment subversive strategies within whatever systems they were in, as well as the organizers who were pushing explicitly from outside. So, yeah.
Okay, I think that's one of the questions we have. How do we bring others into the idea of the revolution? And
that's great.
You just mentioned, at the front lines.
I also think it's really important to invite people to think about why they exist, because all of us are in a lineage of survivors, right? Like, to me, I really am like, oh, if I trace myself back, there are some people who are revolutionary in my lineage, and that's why I exist. So I'm like, even if you think you're too scared to be a revolutionary in this lifetime, your ancestors somewhere along the line were revolutionaries, and somewhere along that life, it's like your job is to pick that up and bring it present.
Okay, amazing.
Good.
What about fear? The role that fear plays in dampening anyone's revolutionary
That's great.
aspects.
Audre Lorde is someone who I recommend everyone read, and she talks about the fact that we're going to be afraid no matter what. Like, we're going to be afraid no matter what. Like, all the people I know who are like, I'm too scared to make a change. I'm too scared to intervene when something racist happens. I'm too scared to intervene when I see violence or abuse happening. I'm like, you're going to be scared no matter what. And so now you're scared, but you let the harm happen. Why not be scared and also try to intervene, right? Because we need to actually learn, like, we're scared because it's a control mechanism, right? Like, as long as you're scared of creating a change, as long as you're scared of disrupting the status quo, even, I notice this with people who are like, I'm like, you're scared of just not being polite. Do you know what I'm saying?
That sounds like all of Canada.
I mean, Canada, the Midwest has this in the US too, so I'm like, I feel some kinship with y'all Canadians, but I'm just like, it's true to me that the number of times that I'm around people who are like more afraid of being impolite than they are of witnessing an abuse is wild to me. And I'm like, we need to switch that. To me, we should be more scared of letting an abuse happen in our presence than of being impolite, or even misunderstood. I'm like, you can misunderstand me, you can think I'm a bitch.
Yeah.
That's okay. You're not hitting your wife in front of me. Yeah. It's never gonna happen. It's okay. And I'm scared too, right? I'm like, I don't want you to hit me either, but I'm pummeled by the system if you keep hurting her. So I have to intervene. And I want someone to intervene for me. That rule, that simple, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Like, even, I think that is one of the most revolutionary concepts that we know, it like gets cliched and people like knit it on a thing, but I'm like, it's actually, I was like, if you really think about that, it's like, if you were in an abusive dynamic, or if you were being, if someone was enacting racism against you for something, it's like, you didn't choose to be born out of a black vagina. I always tell people that, like, it wasn't a choice that anyone made. Right. We just, this is what we're born into, and then we're all trying to figure out, how do I survive the circumstances I was born into? And I'm like, how do we have compassion for that survival mechanism? And to me, it's like, well, I would want someone to intervene for me the way they would intervene for anyone else. And this is almost always my challenge to white people is I'm like, I want to know for white folks that you would intervene on my behalf the same as you if you saw a white woman being attacked in the same way. That's all I ask. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you are an executive director of Ruckus at
Yes.
this point in time, and probably other organizations. And since we work with a lot of people who run organizations,
Yes.
that are really trying to push the
Bosses.
boundaries. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's hard, right? Like,
Yeah.
when you were in ED, was that an easy job?
No, and I went into it. I went into it with a lot of ego. Like I was just like, I see how everyone else is doing the executive director role. I am gonna do it totally differently. It's gonna be like super fair, flat structures, all the things. And then I got into the job, and I was like, oh, philanthropy constructs it. It makes it almost impossible to have integrity and be a boss, right? Because you're constantly being asked to jump through hoops for what philanthropy says are the goals of what the work you're doing should be, rather than trying to make sure the work is actually serving your community. So you spend enough time doing that, and you know, it's also a desperate situation. Usually for a small organizing nonprofit, you're like, I have all these visions and values, and I have these 6 people whose healthcare relies on like me getting the resources in. And I also think it's an impossible job. So when I do coaching for people or I do support, I'm like, don't expect to be perfect at an impossible thing, right? Most people are not great at budgets and also great at managing people and also great at fundraising and also great at vision. You're usually good at 1 or 2 of those things maximum, right? And then what we have is people who are like, I'm a visionary. I have no idea how to manage people. That's me, right? I'm like, I can see everything that's supposed to happen. When it comes to managing people, like, I don't know, boo, just be good at your job. That's all I want from you, right? And now I'm in a position where I'm like starting a new entity and really trying to think about how do I be the kind of leader that inspires the greatness in others without having to control or manage in that way. I'm like, I just want you to be a teammate, right? So I think it's an impossible job. I think we should stop having it as a singular job. In most institutions, the strength would come from having 2 to 3 people sharing the role.
Interesting.
Yes.
So speaking about that, then,
Yeah.
what feminist business practices do you think work and don't work?
That's
given your
great.
experience.
You know, I think it really, really works to have spaces where to me, feminism that's happening at the grassroots or the ground level of something that doesn't reach all the way up to the board level doesn't work, right? So one of the first things I tell people is that your board should reflect the community that you're trying to serve. If the board is only like the rich people and then the community is like, you know, down here, there's going to be an impossible tension that the organization is trying to hold between what those wealthy people who are far away want. So a board should be a space where there's a balance. And of course, you know, women's leadership to me is just always much more intriguing and more, I think, can be more powerful. No offense to any men in the room. I also think there's something really interesting, like a lot of times people are like, oh, if a woman is in charge, then it's going to be a feminist institution. And I think we have to really challenge that it's like, it's not enough to just have literally a woman there. I think we have to think about what are the aspects of feminism that we're trying to bring in. So to me, one of the main things is thinking about the collaborative and the care. Like thinking about how are we being collaborative with each other, which I think is one of the things that women often are the ones who are bringing into a community is like, well, how are we working with each other to share these resources versus how men get trained to be alpha male competing over those same resources. And then how do we care for the entire structure, which is often it's like, oh, women, you know, but it's like actually, to me, if you want deep connections that actually can withstand the pressure of oppression, you have to take care of all the nodes in the system, right? Every one of your organizations should feel like I'm cared for. I'm a valuable member of this. And hierarchy takes it away, right? It's like the top is cared for, they're valuable. And then there's all these people who like could be fired anytime. I think another practice that's really important is you look at how maternity leave happens, and paternity leave and parental leave. To me, a feminist institution is a place that says if you have a baby, you get a lot of time to go take care of that kid. You don't have to worry about it, and you get to come back. Like that's just, you know. And it's also not just women getting maternity leave. So I'm like, whoever made this baby, they need to come take care of this baby. when a baby first comes out, it's like nobody's sleeping here. It's not fair for the guy to get to go to work and the woman stay at home. Like everybody needs to stay here right now. Yeah.
All right, just one last quick question. You just quickly mentioned an organization you're working on. Curious to know what it is.
So I've founded something called the Emergent Strategy Ideation Institute. And the idea, I put out this book called Emergent Strategy, which is about how do we learn from natural operating systems to do our organizing in right relationship with the planet. And the Institute is basically doing a bunch of trainings, facilitation, coaching, and mediation to help people who are interested in taking that path do it as well as they can. So last year we did a bunch of trainings, facilitation trainings, and these things called immersions where people would come and play with adaptation, play with fractals, play with creating more possibilities, stuff like that. It was really a blast. So this year we're doing 7 that are spread out across the US. And then we're also doing facilitation trainings in Detroit. And then I brought on a team of about 20 people who are all incredible facilitators, coaches, and other things who I know are already practicing it so that it doesn't get bottlenecked with me. Because I'm in a real concern about that I don't want people to just be like, oh, Adrienne is the one who has these things. I'm like, I'm just a human being who needs to go on vacation.
Right.
So there's a lot of other people who understand how to be in a relational organizing context, and that's all we're trying to turn up in people is like we have to be in right relationship with each other if we're going to create change that is compelling to other people.
Amazing. Well, hopefully you'll be doing services in Canada.
Oh yes, I've got Canadians on my team.
Oh,
I'm ready to come to Canada anytime.
We're going to have to get some of those names and so on. But thank you.
Awesome.
I could talk to you all day, but
Thank you.
also know we've got a podcast
We've got a
to do.
lineup.
So thank you so much. It was
Thank you.
beautiful.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. That's rad.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I think I got some sparkles
You
on
got
me
glitter
now.
on you.
Okay, thanks. Over
Thank
to you
you.
guys.